You can use regular worsted weight yarn to do faux cables, but there are a few considerations. So let's whip up a faux cable scarf and chat along the way. Starting at the left, leave the end 3 needles in work, then 3 out of work, 8 in work, 8 out of work. Repeat the 8 in work and 8 out of work all the way over to the last 6 needles on the right. End with 3 out of work and 3 in work. Now, pull all the working needles out to hold and E-wrap from left to right, making sure to span the needles out of work with a medium tension on the yarn. Unlike chenille, worsted type yarn needs more room for the faux cables. Plus, it has more body, therefore requires less support from the surrounding stitches. To make more room, leave more empty needles in a group. As a general rule, skip 8 needles for a 4-bar faux cable, 10 needles for a 5-bar faux cable, etc. Skip 4 for a 2-bar cable. My carriage is on the right, set to knit in both directions. Stitch size is 10 on my brother's bulky. For this yarn, hang the cast-on comb and add weight as needed. Now, you can go ahead and knit this in just one color, but I'm going to add a little more fun to the project. Knit 4 rows with the first color, I'm using jade, then change colors and knit 4 rows with the second color, which is Aruba Sea. Sounds fancy, doesn't it? Since there is no color changer for the Brother Bulky in single bed mode, I speed the process up by holding the yarn from the left feeder with my left hand pulled away from the needle bed while knitting with the yarn in the right feeder. I let the yarn in the right feeder hang around the edge of the carriage. Then, when I begin with the other color, it ends up around the edge of the machine out of the way. Although you're supposed to close the gate on the carriage to keep the yarn secure, I tend to leave it open, and I always check to make sure that the yarn is threaded all the way into the carriage. Continue knitting and striping until the piece is the desired length. I stopped at 356 rows and did a crochet bind off from right to left. You can watch the video how to machine knit the faux cable cowl if you need more details. Now that my knitting is off the machine, let's create the faux cables. Start with the narrow columns at the edges. These must be done with the knit side facing you. I'll show you why a little later in this video. Start by inserting the latch tool between the 3rd and 4th bar on the end from front to back and twist. This forms a loop on the tool. We have 5 bars in the first color because of the cast-on row. Then, pick up the next 2 bars and pull them through the loop on the tool. Continue to pick up the next 2 bars and pull them through the loop all the way up the column. They're easily spotted because of the color changes. You can also do this with a crochet hook. I'll show you in just a minute. Now, I'm going to switch over to a crochet hook. Now, because I'm only picking up 2 strands at a time, I'm going to use an H crochet hook, which is about the right weight for that. And I'm going to just continue on up. How this looks right now when I give it a little stretch. Now, I don't want to stretch the whole thing because otherwise I'll close up my loops and it'll be harder to do anything more. But once I've done a section, you can give it a little pull and look at the result on the back. It folds over. Not only does it fold over, but it buries this carried yarn. No one's ever going to know it. There's no more finishing on this one. And that's that. Insert from the front to the back, and then you kind of twist it, and it makes a little E-wrap on the hook. Now you can use a latch tool to do this, but I just am using a crochet hook, and this is an M crochet hook. And then I'm going to pick up the next 4. So easy to spot because we change colors every 4 rows and there's 4 bars. But watch what happens because we did the little extra work to do the change of colors, we're getting an interesting effect. Let me go a little bit further so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Now, once again, I'm only going to tug the part that I just put the stitches in to lay them out flat. And is that a fun effect? I love it. One more way to do it is to do it with the wrong side facing, or the purl side. It's not the wrong side, it's just the purl side. Now watch the effect we're going to get and we'll compare it. Okay, to start, you still go from the side that's facing you, from the front to the back, and give it a twist, just like that. It does that little E-wrap thing, and you just pick up all the ends of the same color. So in this case, it's 5. You put your hook under the next 4, and you pull that through. Now let's keep going and watch the effect that you get from this side with the color changes. I love it. It's just so much fun. And this is good TV kind of putzing around with your knitting. It comes out so adorable, and the effect is so dramatic, and yet it's really easy to do. We've gone enough. Let's give it a little tug, just the part that we did, not the whole scarf. Is that not fun? Look at how it's such a raised cable, and this coloring on the side from the purl stitches and the color changes, I don't know which one I like better. This one or this one. If you are working in multiple colors, you must work the edge columns from the knit side. Here is an example of working the edge column from the purl side. It just does not hide the carried yarn, but if you were working in solids, it would be fine, as the edge would roll up like this. When I got to the end, I had my open work and I pulled it up, and then I'm going to stick my hook through the top stitch, catching 2 strands on that side and the top stitch on this side. It's just so I have a little bit of meat. And then I'm folding my fringe in half, and with my big hook or a latch tool, I'm pulling it through all of them. And I'm pulling up enough loop so I can just knot it into place. I don't have to do any more finishing. And there you go. And I have a really nice fat tassel. Now on this one you don't have to be so fussy about, because all you have to do is find the center of that E-wrap, take a group of fringe, pull that through the center of the E-wrap, because that is already a closed stitch, and knot it off. I'll let that fold over. I'm going to insert my hook through those 2 thicknesses, and I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to take my folded fringe, pull that through, but I also want to catch that yarn tail. So I want to make sure I get all of that in here, and that's all pulled in into a loop, and come over here. Now no one's going to count the strands on your fringe to find out that we have exactly 1 more. The Faux Cables scarf is just knitting fun and just so easy. I hope you enjoyed exploring even more faux cabling techniques. Please take a moment to subscribe and ring the bell to receive notifications of upcoming videos. Happy machine knitting!